Hey guys, it's Bang for Buck PC Gamer here, and I'm gonna give you a example of a good budget build for a £600 budget. Now we are at the end of the year 2015, and Nvidia, AMD, and Intel have pretty much released all of their products for this year, so there's no need to wait on what's coming now. If you want a PC for Christmas, I can give you some good pointers for a PC that will game at 1080p at ultra to high settings that will get you a minimum of 45 to 60 plus frames per second in pretty much all scenarios. So when it comes to building a gaming PC in particular, you always have to try not to skimp on the processor and the graphics card, as these are the components that are going to give you the most performance in games. So we're going to start with the processor. This time around I'm going to go with Intel, and after doing the research I found that the Intel i5 694690K, should I say, does give you the best performance across the board. Now you may be thinking, why not go with the AMD FX8350? Well, I would invite you to do a comparison between these two processors and see which one comes out on top, and I'm pretty sure you come to the same conclusion as myself. So this one goes in the basket, and this is the build I will go with. So we'll have to go with a motherboard now that we've got our processor of choice. So this is an area you can skimp a little bit. You don't have to go too crazy. I try to use brands that I'm familiar with. I'm very familiar with Asus. Another thing you have to bear in mind as well is that because you've bought a K-series CPU, which allows you to overclock due to the unlock multiplier, you do need to go with a Z97 chipset to take advantage of that. So I'm going to go with the Asus Z97P. This offers a really good value for the price, and has all the features you will expect as well. So it's an ATX form factor. It supports four DIMMs of DDR3, which is good. You don't want to, because that will limit your upgrade path, obviously. And so we're going to go with that. It's a reasonable price as well. Now that we've got the motherboard out of the way, we can move on to memory. Obviously, this being a Z97, we're limited to DDR3 at the moment. I would say memory speed doesn't make a great deal of difference in games, so don't go crazy with that. You can start at 1600 megahertz and work your way up if the price is right. So I tend to use brands I'm familiar with when building PCs. I've used Corsair for quite a while. Try to avoid really high tall heat sinks as well, as you may run into compatibility issues with aftermarket coolers down the line. So the Corsair Vengeance series is a pretty solid product. I currently have 32 gigabytes in my main system as well. So we'll go with the Vengeance low profile, 8 gigabytes Cas9 timing, pretty tight, with the 1.5 to 1.6 voltage depending on which XMP profile you go with, I would imagine. So we'll add that to the basket. You're effectively paying £20 per stick, and they're 4 gigabyte DIMMs, so we still have two DIMMs, two slots left on your motherboard if you do choose to upgrade in the future. Some games are starting to breach 8 gigabytes of system memory, but it's only a few. I wouldn't worry about it for the moment. 8 gigabytes should see you through pretty well when it comes to gaming. So let's move on to something more juicy. We can go on to the graphics card now. At this price point, there are two graphics cards to consider. That would be the R9 380 from AMD and the GTX 960 from Nvidia. This is a really good price for the GTX 960. That's £150 for a 4 gigabyte model. At this stage, it really depends on what you want to go with and what you prefer. As far as performance goes, the 380 from AMD does perform better than the GTX 960. So if it was my money, I would go with the Strix. I'll spend a little extra money, about £7 more, just to get this model, as it really does hold up better at 1440p as well. You can play at 30 frames and a little bit above depending on the game. So my choice would be the Radeon R9 380 Direct CU2 Strix. Let's have a quick look at it, because it's a pretty good looking card. Um, it comes with 4 gigabytes of GDDR5 running at 1550 5500 megahertz, 990 megahertz on the core, and 1792 stream processors. So basically this is an AMD 7950 with all the trimmings. It's just been re-glossed, but it's a good graphics card, and it will be going in my build. So now we need a power supply that will handle that graphics card and deal with any potential overclocking that we want to do in the future. So I would say a good 550 or 600 watt power supply will do the trick. I recommend Seasonic, Corsair and EVGA personally, and try to get yourself a modular process power supply as well, as that will offer a clean building experience. So I've picked out the Corsair Builder Series CX600, 80 plus bronze watt, which is pretty good. It is modular as well, so it'll offer a clean building experience, and it will definitely give us enough power to overclock both graphics card and CPU. So that goes in the basket. Now we move on to storage. I think every modern PC needs to have a solid state drive as their main boot drive, which houses their operating system, to have that quick response and snappy experience that a mechanical drive cannot offer you. And this is a place again which you can skimp on the price. Kingston is doing a good 120 gigabyte SSD for £35, so we'll add that to the basket, and we'll get ourselves a 1 terabyte mechanical drive for storage, for games and other media that you may want to buy for yourself. So it seems Hitachi is doing a good deal, £36 on a 1 terabyte, so that will go in the basket as well. Pretty much coming to the final component we need, which is a case. Obviously this is subjected to your taste. I would recommend getting yourself a mid tower, as you're only housing one graphics card and the system is not really going to get too hot. Again, this is down to you. I personally like Corsair and Bitphoenix as well, and Cooler Master would be my choice. So I'm going to go with the Bitphoenix. I was going to go with the Nova, but I like the Neos series. It looks pretty cool as well. So I think I'll go with the Nova because it's got a full size window. You can get that in white or black depending on what you want your build. Has really good features, USB 3.0 at the top, and it can house 11.5-inch graphics cards as well, so you don't need to worry about that. So 2 120mm fans at the front and one 120mm at the rear, so you can, you know, mount your all-in-one cooler as a rear outtake fan, and 2 intakes. That'll be decent airflow as well. So once I add this to the basket, that's pretty much it. We've gone over our budget by £4, but I'm sure you can all agree that's worth it in the end. So I'm just gonna quickly summarize the build. So if we have a look at the basket now, I went with the Intel i5 4690K. Offers the best performance across the board against any AMD competing processor at the moment, and obviously you can overclock this as well. So there's that. I've got the Asus Z97P Intel motherboard as well, and we've got 8GB of Corsair Vengeance low profile memory. For the graphics card, we went with the Asus Radeon R9 Direct CU2 Strix, which will outperform the GTX 960 across the board in 1080p and 1440p if you want to try that out. The Corsair Builder 600 series 600 watt power supply will give us decent headroom for overclocking for both graphics card and processor, and obviously the Kingston SSD will give us a good snappy experience with our operating system. So that's the build. Hopefully this will give you a good idea of what a budget build should consist of if you're going to build one for yourself this Christmas. This is definitely one of the best builds you can do in terms of components and price. If you want to put a few suggestions towards me, then feel free to comment in the comment section. But apart from that, that's it guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.